Howie looked at the old house as his friend disappeared inside. Several windows were broken, and wood was nailed over the empty spaces. The attic window was so high, Howie had to tilt his head back to see it. What Howie saw made him freeze. Someone was staring down from the attic window. Howie rubbed his eyes and looked again. No one was there.
Belly School Dropouts. I know what these monsters are about. Belly School Dropouts. That dude's a Dracula. I think he wants to snack on you. I saw me in my home.
Pencils down, dudes. Welcome to another episode of Bailey School Podcast, or whatever we call it. I'm Mr. Matt, and I'm here with Guidance Counselor Dave and Principal Ed.
Oh,
What do you
hey,
wanna do?
boys.
All right.
When you get big.
You know, it's called Bailey School Dropouts.
Bailey School
is the name of-
Dropouts.
That's the name of the podcast.
Ed,
that we do.
I know that, of course. It's the podcast we always do every week. There's nothing weird about it. And it's called Bailey
Yeah,
School
well-
Dropouts.
I'm just saying, it's slip-ups like these is why you haven't been promoted to administration yet, Matt.
Hey, still working on that tenure.
Yeah, one day I'll get there. Hey, thanks for listening to our podcast, and I hope everybody's doing well out there. Nothing weird going on, I'm sure. Everybody's fine. Normal times, right?
Oh,
Much-
yeah.
Much like teachers, we're doing this podcast remotely. On,
Yeah.
on Zoom.
We are
I don't know
using
when
Zoom.
you folks... We are using Zoom. I've been using Zoom a lot lately, and it's a thing. I think Zoom... I don't know when you people at home are listening to this, but right now we are in just smack dab in the middle of this whole COVID-19 thing.
Yeah.
So we're recording remotely, and frankly, I think this whole thing might have been orchestrated by Zoom to boost their stocks a bit. Because I did not hear about Zoom fucking once before 2 weeks ago.
You know, that's true. Is it?
Bailey School Dropouts brought to you by Zoom.
Yeah, sponsored content.
So, Ed, I just wanted to ask you, just talking about what we have going on right now. So how does it feel to be moving up from masturbating on, what was it, chat roulette, and moving over to masturbating on Zoom? Has that really changed the way you've lived your life now in the pandemic?
Well, I gotta tell you, Dave, that it's definitely made me try harder, and I've been putting myself out there more. But fundamentally, I still think that I'm the same masturbator. I don't want it to change too much about who I am and who I masturbate in front of.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're showing your face this time.
Oh, absolutely! I'm proud of this.
And like we do every single week, we are doing a Bailey School book from our Lords and Savior, Marcia Thornton Jones, and Debbie Daddy.
Debbie, the father, Daddy.
And, of course, this long-running podcast has finally made it to book number 5, Ghosts Don't Eat Potato Chips.
Is it 5? I thought it was 2.
I think it's 5. We would know that because we always do this.
Yeah, I'm testing you because absolutely I know, because this book series is the only thing that matters.
I see
to
how
me.
it is. You can test us about the number of the book, but I can't test you about what the podcast is called. You know what?
Yeah.
Signing off. Pencils
All right,
down for me.
If you're such a fan, then what's the name of number 31?
You think that I don't know that, but obviously it's Ghouls Don't Scoop Ice Cream. You
I
poser.
think it's Dracula's don't pull their dicks out at the county fair.
I know for a fact they do that. Unless it's the daytime.
Guys, can we read number 30 next? Hercules doesn't pull teeth.
I think he would do that with ease.
Oh, God, let's.
So, like we do every single Bailey School Dropout Kids Time podcast, we're going to go to the time and place where this book first originated, which of course was the 1st of September in the 92nd of the 1900s, 1992.
Indeed.
Oh, God, that's so long ago.
The top song that day on the 1st was End of the Road by Boyz II Men.
Oh, great song.
I don't think I know that one, actually.
What?
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. And, I mean, I'm from Philadelphia, so I should know Boys to Men, but I don't know. I'd probably know it if I heard it.
Well,
To the end of the road, and I can't let go.
It's Ed, anything ringing any bells?
Yeah,
No, but my God, you boys have beautiful singing voices.
Top movie was Honeymoon in Vegas, starring Nicolas Cage and Sarah Jessica Parker.
Oh, man, fuck, I don't know that one either. Jesus.
Yeah, this whole month was trash.
It's almost
No,
like I
just
was
kidding.
4 years old and wasn't aware of pop culture at the time.
Well, let's not forget, too, that you might have been scarred from this was the time of the first war in Iraq, which
Oh, yeah.
is
yeah.
something that we talk about on this podcast, Bailey School Dropouts. And, of course, preceded by Black Hawk Down was another tragedy.
That whole thing took a very personal toll on me in particular.
I know. It did for us all. And Josh Hartnett.
Ah, poor Josh Hartnett. You know the thing about Josh Hartnett is there's so many movies where he's for some reason standing out in the rain or he's running through the rain. He gets rained on a lot in movies. Well, he used to. Josh Hartnett, I don't think he's been in a movie in like 10
what's going
years.
on there?
And that sucks. I like Josh Hartnett. I have nothing but good things to say about him.
Yeah, he was a cutie pie.
Y'all seen The Faculty? Oh, that's a great movie.
Oh, who doesn't love it?
You know, fun fact I learned about The Faculty from a guy who comes to the comic shop. He does a lot of special effects stuff. The monster at the end of The Faculty is just the animatronic from Violator and Spawn dressed
No
up again.
shit.
Yeah, they would reuse a lot of animatronics and things for other movies to cut the budgets and lower budgets for especially big animatronic things.
Sure.
The Violator, a.k.a. the only good thing about the Spawn movie.
That Violator, that animatronic, they made it lift him. Like,
Yeah?
the animatronic was, like, weighted and strong enough to lift this man, who's, like, around my height, into the air, because it had to lift whoever played
Yo,
Wanda.
that's rad. And I know
Really
that
cool.
that movie actually won an Oscar for like special effects, and they like slapped that all over the VHX box. Oscar-winning Spawn.
Speaking of winning, you guys like stars?
Sure.
Yeah,
You ever reach for them?
once or
No.
twice.
Of course you do, because we're going to do the game that we play every single week here on Bailey
Oh my
Time.
Oh yeah, this
God.
game.
Reach for the stars. I'm going to give you a review on Amazon of this book, and you're going to tell me how many stars. Possible 5 stars,
We know the rules.
right?
Clearly, we do. We've done this so many times.
Okay, so first,
Shut up, Dave.
this is the one. The title is no title for this one. They didn't give a title, but it just says
Cowards.
This book was so funny. You should read it. So has 3 O's.
That's the whole review?
That's the whole review.
5 stars.
I'm going to say that's a solid 4.5.
Okay. I don't believe there's half stars, but Matt, you win
Yes.
for 5 stars.
Fuck you, Matt. You didn't even read the book. Do you guys know that Matt doesn't actually read the books for this podcast? He's such a piece of shit.
Famously, I don't.
Dave and I invited him on out of the goodness of our hearts, and he doesn't even do the
More like
work
the goodness of
because
your
he doesn't
farts.
respect us.
Oh,
Dave, what do you win
See,
at the
that's-
end? Is it Carl's jar of cum that he promised?
It is. It actually
Okay.
is. So we're going to keep moving on. You boys stop your gentle ribbing. But this next one, I can't say the title of because it's the number of stars. It says, the back cover had a tear in it, ... Tape it, but not happy.
3 stars.
So it arrived torn.
Yes, and they are judging the contents of the book based on the tear in their cover.
I'm going to say 2 stars.
You both failed. It's 1
1
star.
star.
Yo,
Torn
1 star.
cover.
That. Okay, the cover is torn. That sucks. That is not a reflection on the hard work of Mrs. Daddy and M.T. Jones writing this goddamn masterpiece. Fuck that person who probably wrote this review 15 years ago.
Yeah.
That was Louise. And she actually wrote it on May 21st of 2018. Thank you very much.
Oh, damn. That's pretty recent.
It is pretty recent. Also, this one came... It is reviewed by Forensic DTS Incorporated. The company rated this book, and it is a verified purchase from them. Okay, so the title is good, and then the smiley face you make that has a nose that's like colon minus like a dash and then a parentheses that makes a smiley face. So that's the title.
It sure does make a smiley face.
I didn't even register that. You just said a bunch of things. I don't know what it means.
All right, hold on. Because we're using Zoom, official podcast of Plagues. Here we go. That's what it looks like. I
how'd
just
you
sent
do
it in the
that?
chat. It's called Chat. It's one of the many features on
my
Zoom.
God.
Zoom.us.
I
Go
know
there and
exactly
you can
what
make
you're
a
talking
free
about. You
account.
don't have to disrail this conversation for my sake. It was for Matt, who, once again, is a total piece of shit.
Okay, so the title is good with that face, and then the subject, the body of the review is the same thing. It says good with that face again.
Oh, that's got to be a 5-star review.
Oh my god. I'm gonna guess 69. Nice.
Oh!
Well, Ed wins, so it's tied.
Wow.
Okay, I just have 2 more, and I saved the best for last. So this one's from Megan, and you can tell something's wrong with her because she spells Megan Meagan.
Oh, that pisses me off so much.
Right? And she wrote this 6 years ago. It says, I love the BSK books, but I didn't like this one. Maybe if adults weren't going around and making TV shows about ghost hunting, I could recommend this book to a child, but I can't. An adult will tell a child that vampires and werewolves are just pretend, but ghosts are a different story? How many stars?
2 stars.
I think you think that was written by like Joe Rogan or something?
Well, it could be a very smart baby because the photo, their icon, I'll show you their icon.
Oh,
It's that little tyke. It's that baby.
Oh, that
it's
is-
a
that is
baby.
a baby.
Okay, so what did this baby Megan say? So we got 2 stars.
I think Megan is a moniker for Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher wrote that. I'm gonna say 3 stars.
It was 2 stars. Ed's ahead. 2 to 1. Okay, now this is for the win or the tie. This one is by Nicole Javagi. And it was 10 years ago. And she put it in her primary classroom. And the review says, this book took a strange turn when it delved into the expense of hospital care.
That's the whole review?
That's the whole review.
Jesus.
This is the final one for the win.
It's not wrong, is the
It's
thing.
it's just like a fact.
Yeah.
No bias. Or maybe there's bias.
Just
Maybe
kidding.
It seems like she doesn't like that.
Did you realize that if you switch around the letters of Nicole Javagi, it spells Bernie Sanders?
Well, Bernie wouldn't think that's
I just-
strange. He would think it's right.
It is right.
I don't know. 3 down the middle. Like
I'm going to say 4.
All right, Ed, you're the winner with 2. This was 2 stars. So you got 2 wins, but all right. And that was the real fun game. That, you know what, guys? Let's never do that game anymore. It kind of sucked.
I liked it.
I had
Reach for the stars.
I had a great time.
Like a Woody from Toy Story.
Matt,
Guys?
you were a worthy foe.
Thank you.
I've once again regained respect
Wow.
for you.
Thank you, Ed.
You're welcome. Thank you for teaching me about jumping to conclusions.
Well, you know,
and racism
yes,
and how it's bad.
I am a teacher at the Bailey School, as you know, because you're the principal. And Dave is the guidance counselor, and he's been there for all my therapy sessions. What do guidance counselors
That's right.
do?
I always tell the students, I'll say, stop caring so much about getting fingered. Read books. You'll have all high school to get fingered.
That's what my
Just
guidance counselor told me in my all-boys high school.
Guys, I know this is kind of taking it off topic. I've been drinking whiskey. But did you know that Debbie Daddy has a solo career?
Well, Dave, I would just like to follow that up by saying I have been drinking cider and wine, and I did know that because I'm a huge fan of Debbie Daddy, but you should fill me in on it anyway. Just, you know.
Did we laugh at the titles of this last year when we said, or I mean last episode, when we said that Debbie Daddy made 2 books called The Slime Wars and the follow-up Slime Time?
Slime time.
Slime
we
Time
didn't.
is actually based on a true story for when Debbie Daddy gets real juicy and does the little dog wipe. And that's how she marks her territory when she's about to
Dog wipe.
yeah, when a dog wipes
Oh,
her
you don't
butt
need
on the
to.
carpet.
Oh my.
And then there was that other time that Debbie Daddy's neighbor would also do that, and that was the Great Slime Wars.
Wow. Well, you can't do that in this environment with the COVID going on and everything. You can't be dog wiping on railings and stuff.
Just wear a mask and stop complaining. It's called the dental dam.
That is not conducted
Oh my
in
God.
proper social distancing.
Can we start calling the COVID masks, the
Dental
face
dams.
masks, dental dams?
Sure.
But act like we don't know why that's funny. Like, act like we always thought they were called that.
All right, should we get into this?
I'm for it.
My favorite book.
Yeah, let's do it, man. It's prime time for slime time.
All right.
I'd be dental damned if we didn't.
Let's
Oh, we have fun.
let's slime right into the first chapter. Here's what I'll say. Eddie's back.
God, Eddie, what? Just
And,
if you listen to our first episode, which of course you did, you're all massive fans of this,
Yeah.
and it was only a week ago, you would know that we do not think highly of Eddie because he is just a fuck. I have my notes in front of me, and the first note that I took is right off the bat, Eddie is a fuck.
Big fuck. On the first page. So you have Eddie, and he's with his grandma, and Eddie has a great Aunt Matilda. And Eddie's grandmother's like, well, I don't want to fucking deal with her, so you deal with her. And you, like, visit her to feed her and stuff. Very strange thing happening. That's not the point. The point is that Eddie sucks. As you said so astutely, Ed, on the first page, this is how Eddie talks about his Aunt Matilda. That old bat never did anything for us, Eddie mumbled. And then Eddie's grandmother hits him, which is the best part of this book.
It's great. And then she invented Postmates by
That's right.
making Eddie deliver this food.
Yeah.
See, now here's the thing. I am, a little bit of a behind the scenes, a little bit of BTS for you listeners.
Whoa.
I, right now, am going to school to become a teacher, and we learn about things like learned behavior. So I think that the reason Eddie is such a gigantic piece of shit is because his family clearly sucks. Like, his grandmother is just kind of shitty and mean to him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to bring this food to his aunt because he says his aunt is mean. And don't get me wrong, Eddie's a giant piece of shit because he's like, yeah, she should just fucking die and I don't care. And I'm going to go buy a pack of Newports and some scratch-offs. But you can just see it's this cycle of abuse and awfulness. So, of course, Eddie is a piece of shit because he learned to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's going to cure him is just a swift punch in the mouth to knock all of his teeth out.
Something to humble
As the
his-
guidance counselor on this podcast can confirm.
Yeah, he needs to be humbled. Yeah, I mean, I put a little asterisk next to each moment where Eddie was a huge asshole, and there's a lot of asterisks in this book.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, this entire book, the plot from page 1 is motivated by Eddie just being a douche.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
But also, Grandma's like, send the sick meals over to her.
I know. It's weird.
It's just they do everything but by just saying like, you know what, we should just put her down.
Yeah.
Like, they're just waiting for her to die.
Yeah.
Her house is basically a pre-coffin. It
is.
depressing.
The way they describe it, sure, it's basically a coffin. It's like an old haunted box.
Yeah.
And it's not even like she has cancer or Alzheimer's or something. She has the flu. And she's old, but she'll probably be fine if she got the proper attention and care that she needs.
Yeah, if you told me that a couple months ago, maybe.
Yeah,
Can we go back to when Matt said old haunted box? Let's enter that into Pornhub.
How can we connect that to dog wipe? Somebody out there is more clever than me. Do that.
Carl, you do it. You're smart.
Yeah, you slacker.
Piece of shit.
So, yeah, that's what it is. Is also, she has the flu. Why are you sending your grandchild into this house where this woman has the flu? Like to make him
yeah,
susceptible?
social distancing.
Yeah, it's like he's like these kids are 10. It's like it's just not appropriate. So, but that's what happens. Eddie becomes sort of like this intermittent caretaker for his Aunt Matilda, who's sick in a presumably haunted house, a creepy house. And she's sick in there with the flu. And Eddie's way of dealing with this is to like sort of gradually start bringing friends with him to share the burden for some reason.
Yeah. Hey, you want to see a dead body?
Yeah, I mean, really. And for some reason, they go with him, which is wild. But I guess at that age, it's like you do whatever.
Yeah, and here's the thing. From the last book we read, Howie was a part of that. Howie is Eddie's best friend. And I remember when we read Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots, I had this idea of Howie would grow up to be like John Constantine. Like, he would wear a trench coat and like chain smoke and like drive a bitchin' car and like hunt down monsters like fucking Sam and Dean Winchester. And this book made me lose all the respect I had for Howie because he just is a bitch.
He's got strong Minkus energy in this book.
Oh my god, that is a deep cut, Dave, but you are absolutely right.
He's got a whole lot of Minkus going on. But yeah, it's true, and all he really does is like eat dirt chips, like shitty garlic. Do garlic chips exist? Or onion chips?
Yeah.
Onion chips exist. I have seen onion chips before.
Yeah.
Garlic chips, though, I haven't. But I feel like there's garlic, like, and something else.
Yes.
Like, just garlic isn't great. You need something else to kind of balance that out.
And even the something else,
And-
this is like a... who does the contest with different flavors? Is it Lay's? Whatever.
I think that's Lay's.
It's like one of those. It's not like a regular, it's not like sour cream and onion, which is a thing. There's no like regular.
Yeah, they're not
garlic
going to
chip.
sell... You're not going to get garlic and garlic alone chips.
Midnight garlic.
But they make... Debbie Daddy makes such a fucking production of making sure that we know Howie has the garlic chips.
Yeah.
Every
Because they're
other
pivotal.
sentence calls attention to the garlic chips. Like, Mrs. Daddy, you're better than this. We know. You're...
Yeah. I mean, kind of lands right in our wheelhouse.
Well, what can I say, Dave? I'm an optimist. I believe in people.
I don't.
Like,
So they go to Aunt Matilda's house to give her the sick meal, and they walk in and just like, it smells like death. We're gonna find a body, and turns out they just find an old angry lady who mentions that these garlic chips are the same ones her sweet, sweet dead Jasper, great Uncle Jasper, Grunkle Jax used to eat.
But it also sounds like Great Uncle Jasper was also kind of a dick, just making me think that this whole family is just the worst people. Like, I'm sure you guys, like, growing up when you were in, like, middle school, there was just a family that sucked. Like, you probably had, like, one of those kids in your grade, or maybe, like, the grade above you, and, like, you'd see their parents at, like, basketball games or, like, school events and shit like that, and it's just like, oh, yeah, that's the Eddies. They fucking suck. And they were just known around the neighborhood for just sucking.
O'Doyle rules.
Exactly. It's Eddie O'Doyle. That's what he is now, Eddie O'Doyle. Fuck, that makes too good sense.
So she's
what?
terrible.
Jasper's dead.
And she just sends them to water her garden. But, like, her garden is just weeds outside. Like, she's obviously losing her mind. Apparently, her windows are shattered. There's just holes in her roof.
She's basically just Miss Havisham from Great Expectations.
Oh, I've never seen or read that.
Was that too highbrow for our Barely
highbrow.
School Kids podcast?
That, I don't know what.
Is it Jane Austen or is it Bronte?
No, that's Dickens.
Oh, whoops.
Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Great Expectations. It's Pitt.
Listen, I don't know anything about your dick skins, but in this, her house is, how could we say that? It is a doo-doo house. It is a bad one with gross,
It's
bad
definitely
windows.
a dog wipe house.
It is a wipe slime war. I'll tell you what. It's a slime war. Commander Cody, Captain Rex of the Slime Wars. And that's all I have to say about that.
If you
so when they're
go ahead.
just like Debbie Daddy, so in the next scene, just like Debbie Daddy likes to do, Eddie grabs, just blasts Jasper in the face, squirts him right in the face, and he's like, "Thanks, you fucking asshole." And that's at the time where he looks up into a window and he sees an old man in a bowler hat. And you guessed it, it's Oddjob.
It's Oddjob. He's so short.
Or it's the guy who played the parody version of Oddjob in Austin Powers, who throws the shoe, who's now in jail because he murdered his girlfriend.
Yeah, I saw that.
What?
Yeah, man, that's a real
thing. Crazy.
Damn.
What a fall from grace. I
know.
Yeah.
Broke my heart.
Yeah, when he looks up the window and he sees Tom Hanks from Road to Perdition. And he's staring back at him, and here's a picture on page 10, and there's also like a little bird in a nest taking a poo-poo. And
hold on. I wanted to bring that up because
Is it taking a poop?
What is the name of the illustrator? I mean, I know, but once again, I'm just testing you guys.
I think it's Marshall Thornton Jones, isn't it?
Is that M.T. Jones? Oh, okay. I thought M.T. Jones was helping out in the writing. But either way, okay, so that bird that's in the gutter, that's not like a pigeon. That's like a seagull.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe they live close to the...
The illustrations are interesting because there will be insane detail on certain aspects, and then there's like a clearly pencil drawn like shadow man. Like, look, I'm going to hold up to the camera for this is an audio medium. I apologize to our listeners, but look at how poorly drawn the shadow is. Road to
It's
Perdition.
literally just a number 2 pencil on its side.
Oh
But
my
like
God,
the
yeah.
people
Yeah.
look fine. Like that looks good.
Yeah. And the guy looks creepy. He's got like a dummy's face with like a Bruno Mars suit and a Jason Mraz hat.
That's right, Mr. A to Z.
That is absolutely spot on accurate is the thing. So, you listeners at home, whatever mental image you have in your head right now from what Dave just said, it is true. That's what it looks
Accurate.
like. Also,
should
there's
write
a
books about-
seagull there.
People should write books about ventriloquist dummies. Those are creepy.
I know. There's something about
You know,
them.
I could see an author making sort of like a whole series of them, like at least 4 or 5.
Nah. Anyway,
Sounds dumb.
there's a ghost in the attic.
Yeah, but Howie said, "Eddie, there's a ghost up there," and Eddie said, "No, it's just a shadow from the big trees." And then Howie's chips fall on the ground or something because he's a dumb idiot. And
It turns out the mentioning of the garlic chips was foreshadowing.
indeed, it was a real Chekhov's gun situation. And yeah, so there's some chips on the ground under a picnic table, and it spells attic. And so Eddie asks Howie, Hey, the chips are letters. ATTIC. What's that spell?
I'm very glad you picked up on that because, one, they're in third grade.
Yeah.
I've recently been student teaching a kindergarten class. They can spell attic.
For sure.
So, Eddie clearly is developmentally challenged.
He's
So maybe we've been a little too harsh
he's
on him.
genuinely asking here. And how he's like, attic?
Yes. Oh, no, there's no irony. That's just clearly, I don't know this word. Also, I love the spelling of attic because that was one of those things where, did you guys ever say that to kids when you're little? It's kind of like spell the phrase I cup, ICUP.
Sure.
No, you
But-
don't.
Yeah, spell attic, ATTIC, ATTIC.
Oh. Well done.
Comedy at its most pure, I must say.
Hey, do you have a calculator you could maybe hold up to the screen? If you could type 80085,
Why would I do that, Matt?
I just feel like
Or maybe-
it's the most beautiful number. It's a palindrome.
What if you do 5318008?
Ah, yes.
I don't know. I'm not good at math. I'm not that smart. I don't know. I don't know. You guys are just talking mumbo jumbo.
So I love this part because they don't jump to ghosts immediately. They're like, somebody's in your great aunt's house and they're gonna rob her. And he's just like, nobody wants her shit. I hate the police. Let's go to the playground.
Eddie just does not give a shit, and he is so unwilling to get the authorities involved.
Yeah, he hates the police though.
He's just like, Howie's like, we need to call the cops, and Eddie's just like, nah, man, I got priors.
He's like, they're gonna see all the American flags with blue lines down the middle that I've been stealing off the back of trucks. Got those in the back of my Ford Focus.
Yeah, Eddie's a real Blue
gonna
Lives
suck.
Matter guy.
Yeah, he was a big Punisher fan, and then once he saw that they took that over, he just lost it.
Yeah.
He was like, I enjoyed the Thomas Jane movie, and now you're taking that for yourself? First my Pepe the Frog, now this?
I like murdering authorities, but I don't like the police.
Yeah, so then Howie and Eddie meet up with their friends Liza and Melody. And Melody says to Eddie, it looks like you've been slimed by the Loch Ness Monster. You know, the thing you say to your friends?
Well, this is because Debbie Dabby was like, hey, can we write the slime thing? And they're like, no, it doesn't make sense. And he's like, just like one. And then he walks in and he says, slimed ya. And Thornton Jones is just like, Debbie, come on, we got to get through this.
I require slime. Okay, now, Matt, did you write down what Howie's response to that was? Because I did.
No, I did isolate the Loch Ness Monster quip, and I wrote, what the fuck? But this
Okay.
is unreal. But I can't believe I skipped over it.
Okay. Let's do a little back and forth here. You read the Loch Ness Monster line, and I will respond with Howie's response.
Ooh, I like this.
Gladly. It looks like you've been slimed by the Loch Ness Monster, Melody said.
Hosehead here tried to squirt me into next century.
What was that? Who here?
Hosehead tried to
Hosehead.
squirt me into next century.
It says into the next county.
Is that what it
It
says?
do.
Do you have a different version, maybe?
Maybe I do. Shit. Or maybe I'm just dyslexic. Oh, no. Yep, it does says county. I'm just dyslexic. I'm sorry. I've had some wine
And some cider.
and some cider.
It's fine. That's how you get
Either
dyslexia.
way, it's not something that a third grader or anybody would say.
No, yeah. My friends are always trying to squirt me. And it
Classic daddy.
yeah. And it usually doesn't take very long, and you don't get very much out of it. I'm making a cum joke. I'm saying I have low T and don't produce big loads.
That's fine. You can load them if you got them.
That's okay. Small loads, big loads. It's the load that matters.
Right.
And remember, it's 2020, which means we say as much about loads as
That's
we can
right.
on this podcast.
It's Yes Nut 2020 here on Bailey School Dropouts.
Like we always say, on 2020, let us carry your load. It's load year.
All right. So what else happens? There's a ghost in the attic. Somebody makes a
Well, they talk to the girls,
casserole.
and the girls are like, I want to see this ghost.
Right.
So he's like, well, I have to bring her a second meal, because apparently she only gets 2 in one day. And they're like, come for the feeding.
Yeah, they
and they're like, well, we're girls, so we're going to just be real nice to your grandmother, and she'll love us.
You know, the funny thing is that the girls aren't even, like, overly nice. They're just not giant pieces of shit.
Yeah. So by contrast, they look
They're right. They are just regular, normal people. But compared to Eddie O'Doyle, you know, future statutory rapist, they are saints. And also, I would like to point out, as Howie, who firmly believes that there is a ghost in the attic, is talking about it, Eddie drops another gem on us. Maybe your head is full of Rice Krispies.
Yikes.
Wow.
That one tickled my funny bone.
So they all, it's weird because they all like split for a little bit and then meet back up. Like, I don't know, the girls go to play, keep playing or whatever. Eddie goes and pulls a gas card scam, and then they all meet back at Great Aunt's house, where she's just like, she's like, why did you bring all of these children here to rob me?
Yeah, honestly, like, Aunt Matilda kind of sucks, sure, but at the same time, like, her great-nephew, who is just a fucking juvenile delinquent, like, he already brought one stranger into her home when she is sick. Now he just shows up with more, and her house is just full of children, and she's at death's door.
Yes.
And, you know, you just gotta wonder, where are the parents at?
That's true.
Where did Liza and Melody leave their house saying, bye, Mom and Dad, I'm going to my friend who you told me not to hang out with anymore because he got caught lighting things on fire down at the park. We're going to his dying aunt's house. And they were just like, okay, be home by 11.
It's like, I don't know. And we never hear about Eddie's parents. He just stays with his grandmother. So you know that, like, his parents are, like, doing meth and just passed out on a couch 24/7. And
Well,
like,
his dad is in county lockup because he can't pay the bail money. And his mom ran off with her yoga instructor. And his older brother was picked up for cooking meth. And I don't know, something else depressing.
I missed that
Eddie
book.
Sucks. Yeah, that was Meth Dealers Don't Do Well in Life.
oh. And I think there's some extra stuff in that where Eddie doesn't deserve a good Christmas. That was like the holiday special where he keeps trying to find love in all the right places but ends up alone with a Stouffer's lasagna, which he eats in the microwave, if I remember.
And he stole it from a 7-Eleven.
Yeah, those are some crispy noodles in the end. Oof.
This would be really depressing if Eddie wasn't such an asshole.
Yeah, and we know he is because when he arrives with these girls, he knocks on the door and holds up the casserole to his great Aunt Matilda, and he goes, "Hey, should I just throw this in the trash?" That's on page 22. And then he brings up his friends and whatever, and you know, they go to make this casserole for Matilda. And Eddie's like, I wish I knew how to use an oven. And his girlfriends have to try to figure it out because he's a dumb idiot. And they end up burning it because they're playing Go Fish / poker with Matilda.
Yeah, Eddie's great aunt is teaching them how to gamble.
Yep.
Yeah, she keeps saying she wants to play strip poker, and they're like, we know you're only wearing a nightgown. Like, we get it. But anyway, yeah, and I love that Eddie's just like, great aunt, you're an old lady. How do you know how to play card games? I don't know if it's because we grew up in an area close to Atlantic City, but like card games was all my grandmothers played.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
the original game.
We would go down to the shore. We'd go to Wildwood for weekends, and my grandmother and grandfather and like their friends, that's all they would do is like play poker and drink like cheap whiskey at the dinner table at night. And like I've always kind of, because of that, associated poker with like old people.
We should do that, though.
Oh no, they had the fucking best time, and that sounds fun. I'm all about gambling and whiskey.
All right, gambling and whiskey. We'll have it. We'll make it
Woo!
happen. Okay. Yeah, so they play, and because she may actually be having fun, she forgets that her food's cooking downstairs, and it burns up, but someone already turned off the... This part just kind of lost me. It was not well done. They say that they ran through the smoke, but did not notice the figure in it.
Right.
Like, okay. Like,
there was just like a dude in a hat, just in the kitchen, hanging out, billowing smoke around him like he's fucking Goldberg, emerging from, you know, the... Oh god, I was going to say Titantron, but he was WCW, so...
They're all owned by the same people now. It's all a Titantron to me.
Yeah, emerging from the Titantron. Walking down the ramp to fight Hollywood Hogan. I don't know, I'm going off on a wrestling tangent and nobody's stopping me, is the problem.
All right, well...
Starrcade, 1999, Hogan versus Goldberg.
Who's that running down the slope? It's Buff Bagwell.
Oh, you know what's nuts? Do you know what he does now?
I feel like I learned something every time.
I swear to God, I am not making... I swear
Whether
to God,
it's
I'm not
about
making
people
this up.
who... Does it have to do with death? You always tell us
No.
about somebody who was eaten or somebody who killed somebody.
No. Buff
What's he
Bagwell
doing?
he's a male prostitute.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, he's a gigolo.
I saw him last year.
No
Under
way.
what
Yeah,
circumstance?
he sucked
Dave?
my dick. No, I went to the PAL and I saw him wrestle with Ass Man, Billy Gunn.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean,
And
maybe
he had his dumb hat.
he still has the hat, like the puffy top hat that's all
Yep.
furry and shit.
Yep,
Good
he was
for
wearing that.
him.
And he has a huge beer gut.
Okay, maybe he stopped being a male prostitute, but I swear to God, there was a period where he was.
Why would you think that wrestling in a PAL in the suburbs abstains you from still being a male prostitute?
I mean, that's the thing, is like, you know, we kind of think of wrestlers like, you know, that they're all like The Rock or John Cena and they're, you know, fabulously wealthy, but most of them were just kind of like working stiffs who lived paycheck to paycheck. But at the same time, you know, they were these like fantastically ripped dudes, and some of them, like Buff Bagwell, really handsome. So he probably did really well as a prostitute, like better than a wrestler. Like, you know, Vince McMahon treated his wrestlers like shit.
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary on Netflix right now, if you want to check it out, called Beyond the Mat. It's a little bit older.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
about-
I've seen that one before. That one's like really depressing.
It's very depressing. It's very good. But anyway,
Back to our wrestling podcast.
So Buff Bagwell. Oh, also, do you guys know about the Big Show that's coming out?
No?
I sure do.
Hulu. Is it Hulu?
Netflix.
Netflix is going to make basically like a sitcom that would have Kevin James in it.
Oh my God! Somebody sent me a picture of that. I thought it was fake.
No, and it's just the Big Show as a dad with two daughters, and it's about him like wrestling and having a family.
That is amazing. I'm gonna
But it's
watch
like
the
Full
shit out
House.
of that.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the shit out of that
Yeah.
too. More to
Oh
come.
my God! Let's just keep talking about wrestling for another hour. It's so much better than this shitty book.
Well, let's blow through this to get through it. They burn the casserole. Then Aunt Matilda wants them to go get like Yankee Doodle Dandy burgers.
Doodleburger.
And
Because she and Jasper used to eat doodle burgers together, and they would get the oh God, what was it? The double onion burger.
yeah, they make them.
the double onion burger.
They put like.
It gets.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say it gets dark a couple times in this book, and like we're gonna learn a little bit more where we learn about the problem with healthcare in America. But in this, it's about like fast food, and it was just like, yeah, we used to eat fast food burgers. That's what
And
killed them.
That's where they would get the garlic chips.
Yeah,
Right.
Is from Doodleburger.
But at one point, she says him eating those fast food burgers is probably why he
Yeah.
died. That's pretty heavy for a kid's book.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with the chlamydia that he got during the Korean War that rotted out his brain.
Or just all the tetanus from walking down the hallway in this fucking rat trap of a house.
That's true.
It was a pretty shitty house. They make a point to say that like this house is just bullshit.
You know why the house is
I think we
bullshit?
missed-
Because you could leave a burger
Why?
out and a ghost will take a bite out of it.
Goddamn right. Yeah, that
That's
happens.
exactly what happens next.
It is. So they bring up the food, and also when they're running back with the burgers, like some character trips on the burgers and squishes them. So they all take turns putting their fucking hands on them. These
Oh my god,
children.
every single
What
one
a
of them touches
nightmare.
the burger.
Did this go through your head that they all touch the burger and give it to her to eat? And after that, they also like put the chips back off the floor into with their hands.
It didn't occur to me when I was reading it, but now that you bring it up, like, yeah, that's pretty gross.
And then during that, like we'll say aside, they hear whistling and footsteps up in the attic, and they disregard it.
So something
But-
else that we kind of glossed over is that Howie, Liza, and Melody go to Doodleburger, but Eddie stays behind because he needs to clean up the kitchen that they fucked up.
Oh yeah.
And he just, like, as they're gone, he just kind of, like, huffs paint in the backyard for a while and walks back into the kitchen, and it's just miraculously clean again. Somebody had cleaned out the casserole dish and opened the window to let all the smoke out.
Which that's nice. The bite from the burger is rude. Cleaning of the dishes, very nice.
Jason Mraz was whistling a tune up in the attic and
Yeah.
stomping around, which was nice. But she was like, "Shut up, we're playing poker." She's like, "This is an old house.
Yeah.
It happens."
So
Also, we also missed the point when all the kids arrive at the house. Liza is just like, "My dad told me about this house. He said that it's haunted, and he also said that you haunt your house when you have left your loved ones with a burden, and you are not allowed to cross the plane as long as they suffer." And
She
they're
just kind of drops that gem on us out of nowhere. And at this point, they've been in the house for like a couple hours.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh, by the way, this house is haunted as fuck.
yeah.
My dad said so. My dad works at Ghostbusters, and he said that this house is haunted.
And busting makes him feel good. Yeah, so the other thing
I almost spit out my beer. Shit.
the other thing is the garlic chips. Suddenly there's like a trail of garlic chips up into the attic.
Right. And they're not supposed to go in the attic because, like, how we talked about going up there, he's like, we're going to find this fucking ghost and we're going to kill its fucking ass. But Aunt Matilda is like, no, you can't go up there. The floorboards are bad and you'll die and the cops will come and they'll take me to jail for negligence, you little fucking trolls.
That is what it says.
I mean, like, that's a word for word
I mean,
what it
literally,
says in this book.
You took Daddy's words right out of her mouth.
But so they leave, and they're like, "You know what? Fuck this. We're gonna wait till the old bat goes to sleep, and we're gonna find that fucking ghost." Teachers, grab your spell bags.
Yeah.
Let's do this. So they walk in, and of course they think that they're going to like sneak in, but the first thing they do is like, "Let's go look at Matilda,"
Yeah.
which is like weird. And they all are like, "You open the door." No, you open the door. And they're like, "Well, what if she's naked?" And they're like, "Eddie, you're her family, so you could see her old tits."
This is after they've just basically broken into her house. They've entered the premises illegally without her consent because it's dark. She's old and asleep, and they're just like, "Let's go in this house and do whatever we want."
And they were like, "Hey, why does she leave the door open? Anyone can steal something from her." And Eddie's like, "What are they gonna take that time hasn't already taken from this woman?"
And he also says, I think he says it to Melody, sounds like you got sawdust for brains, which is a callback to when he said that Howie had Rice Krispies for brains.
Oh, it's good. They're
Boo!
trading blows.
It's not a callback. I just think Eddie's kind of dumb and he's focused on brains.
So somebody may not have brain function anymore because as they look on to Matilda, she is surely dead.
Yeah. The reality of this situation is that these kids have entered an old woman's home and she is dying in front of them.
Yeah.
They think she's dead, of course, but she says, I'm not dead. And Eddie goes, oh, she's too mean to die. And then, Dave, you mentioned her old titties. She does say grabbed her chest as she broke into a coughing fit.
Mm-hmm. Which is, so she has flu-like symptoms and she's coughing. Uh-oh. Social distancing has been bad because she just had 5 different children manhandle all the food that they just fed her.
That's right.
Off the floor. And now she's dying. So
That
they
is-
need to call an ambulance.
And she
Yeah.
says,
And she's calling out for Jasper as this is
Right.
happening. Her dead husband, which honestly is just depressing.
it sucks. Yeah, it's a huge bummer. And this is where the whoever left that review, this is where it takes a strange turn. When
Yeah, because she did not want to go to the hospital because she specifically says she cannot afford a doctor.
which is fair, because if you don't have proper insurance, a hospital ride can be $5,000 up to. So that's a fair complaint.
She's saving her pennies so she can have a window in her house.
Right, or floorboards that you don't fall through in the attic.
In the 90s, there were better tree houses in movies than this lady's
Yeah.
home.
It's
Oh
a
my
huge
God,
bummer.
But like it really does get off on this like odd tangent when they call the ambulance about how she cannot afford to go to a hospital.
Yeah, because she repeats
And
herself
it's like-
a few times, despite being feverish and delusional. And it says, as he climbed into the ambulance, the medic glanced at Eddie. Your aunt will be fine, but she better be able to find a way to pay. Hospitals aren't cheap, Eddie looked him in the eye. Don't worry, she'll pay.
lightning cracked
It's-
the
yeah.
sky and thunder rumbled in the distance as the ambulance sped away.
Dramatic.
It reminds me of that scene from Hot Rod where they're leaving as Rod's walking in that his stepdad's dying, and he's like, I'd give the old man a week. And he's like, wow, real insensitive. Like,
Eddie's just standing there on the street, and he's like, I hate my aunt, but the federal government ain't going to keep my kin from getting doctors and care.
Yeah, so he's going to do everything he can. So he goes back into the house and...
Oh my God, he loses his shit. He like forces his friends back into the house. He's like, I'm going to show you there's no ghost. Like at this point, he's just like fucking Ahab and Moby Dick. Like he is just like obsessed, and just like the having to send Aunt Matilda to the hospital is just like broken his 9-year-old mind.
Yeah. And
but they do go up into the attic because they hear the whistling.
Right.
They hear the footsteps. They bust open the door, and all they find is a chest. And they throw back to our last episode, saying that they find a big case about the size of a person, perhaps. And they open it to find Jasper's shit.
Oh yeah, and they were pretty sure that they were going to find a vampire there. They're like, oh shit, not again.
right.
Yeah. But instead they find a hat. And it's heavier than normal. Turns out Jasper wanted to die, but didn't want that terrible woman to take what was his, and hid all of his money in with his shit. I like to imagine that, like, Jasper's grave, it just says, like, here lies great Uncle Jasper. Don't touch my shit.
Yeah. It's funny because it's couched as something sort of righteous that the ghost is doing to help his, still living wife. But you're right. He just squirreled money away to keep from her.
And then he died.
Right.
And also, like, that sucks. But they open the trunk and they pull out like this bowler hat that he has, and apparently it's just lined with money. And why?
Yes.
Well, that's
Like,
when Eddie was just
why?
like, oh, that's why Uncle Jasper always had such a strong neck.
So this is the note that I took. Money in the hat is fucking stupid. So stupid. What? Fuck you, Daddy. Because like that's great. Like a great hiding spot, but like you're not going to fit that much money in a hat. And apparently it was like thousands and like a couple $100,000 because Aunt Matilda is pretty okay after this.
Yeah, she gets that new lumbago she needed.
Yeah.
And she has a house that's completely redone. She gets a cool hat that's
Yeah.
branded with the name of the book
That's right.
on it. She gets some sweet ice. She has, like, you see the picture? She's got, like, she's literally the first 2 chains with her 2 chains and her sweet
Oh my
hat.
god, I didn't even notice the chains.
She's wearing her jeans and shit. She looks like fly as hell.
They're cuffed.
And she's like, hey, everybody, you want to come play card games? And it says, Howie laughed. After all, ghosts don't eat potato chips.
Ugh.
Oh, that's why it's called that.
Yeah. And that's the fucking book.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, boys, that ending kind of rustled my jimmies. It was really anticlimactic. And just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It left so many questions. Like, why was he hiding all that money from his wife? Was it a loveless marriage? Were they from a different time where to get divorced means that you failed? There were no other options? It's just a sad story. Is that why Matilda has acted in this way and been so loveless that she spawned this loveless family to, in the end, create the ultimate evil, which is Eddie? Is this his villain origin story?
So here's what I think. The fact that Uncle Jasper felt that he had to hide the money means that it's not just that he wanted to keep it from his bitch of a wife, but that, and I'm not saying that. That is what he would say.
Those are
I
Jasper's
need to hide
words.
this from my bitch of a wife. But he
Spot
put
on.
it in his hat and like had the hat like lined again. I think Uncle Jasper was a bootlegger. And that's why he knew how to hide the money. And maybe he was just holding on to the money until it was a time that was safe to use it.
Okay. But why was his house terrible? Well, we don't know how
Yeah.
long it's been since he died.
Yeah, that's true. Also, I mean, he could have just been a jerk too. So that might also be the answer.
All right.
I don't know if there's a lot of subtext to this book.
There's barely any text to it.
That's fair.
Yeah, cha-cha-cha. All right, so does anybody want to talk about anything they found rather good in this story?
I have 2 things on my list. On page 4, Eddie pushed the door open. A musty smell hit them like an ocean wave. Oh, that was all right.
That's good.
I will say, if nothing else, you get a sense of this house being like this old, dilapidated piece of crap, and like you really feel like the writing for the house is very vibrant. Like it feels like she thought about the house, put more thought into the layout of the house and what it was like being in there than anything else.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, the way that the house is painted is, it's well executed for what it is. I'll also say there's a good bit of... There's just a nice detail here where it says, Eddie's shoelaces slapped the faded carpet, and the boys sidestepped a broken chair in the upstairs hall. You can just sort of... That's just a nice little detail. It's like his shoelaces are too long. He's stepping on them. They're kind of like slapping around. He's got like old airwalks on. Like you can get a picture of Eddie and his trudge through the hallway, and I like that. So those are the 2 I made note of. There's a few like that. Like Ed read before the part where lightning and thunder crack the sky, and that's sort of nice. There's little bits in there, but also bear in mind it's sort of cut with such horrible, atrocious bullshit that by contrast it makes it seem, it really elevates the stuff that's just basically passable.
Yeah.
So, something that I took down, and I don't want to say this is a good thing because it's not, but on page 45, when Howie is explaining just like some of the things that make him think the house is haunted, and he is talking about how the chip spelled out attic, Eddie replies with, "It doesn't take a college degree to spell." Now, the thing about that is that line would carry a lot more weight if Eddie was able to spell the word attic, which he clearly could
Yeah.
not. Also, Eddie what the fuck does he know about college degrees? Because clearly nobody in his family has one, and he is also not going to get one.
All right. I agree with that.
But something good, I will say, is the weird, Medicare for all tangent that the book goes on.
Yes.
Because, like, it seriously kind of drops this out of nowhere. Like, when Aunt Matilda's like, I can't go to the hospital because I can't afford it. And it's like, oh, fuck, that's actually kind of heavy for a kid's book.
Yeah.
And when the ambulance shows up, well, it's funny because it says medic, not EMT or anything like that, but the medic says, like, this ain't gonna be free, kid. She gotta pay. We're gonna put her down like a horse. I don't know why all my characters are Southern tonight, but I don't
like
know.
it.
But anyway, it's thank you, Matt. But it just seems very heavy-handed, and like I really feel like Debbie Daddy was like, okay, I gotta write this piece of shit book this afternoon so I can get the paycheck and feed my kids. But I'm gonna inject some of my politics into it.
Yes.
That's
that
a huge
too.
component that I totally skipped over. Absolutely. In fact, in the margins of the book, I wrote M4A in a bunch of spots because it's so overtly Medicare for all. And like, there are problems with the system, kids.
Yeah.
It's very expensive to do anything.
Yeah.
And it's correct. And it doesn't
Oh, I totally agree with it.
It doesn't bludgeon you, but it is weird that it is brought up like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, and all in all, it's like maybe 3 or 4 pages out of 67, so it's not a huge chunk of it, but like it leaves
It's
an
surprising,
impact.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, that's kind of like I appreciate that in the fact that like it gets kind of real for a second, where it's just like, oh shit, like maybe she can't afford this. Maybe that's why she's so sick. Maybe that's why this house is so dilapidated and falling apart, is because like the system has failed this woman, and she cannot. She has a dead husband. She can't work because she's old. Maybe like the way that things are, like the way things work in this country aren't correct.
Yeah.
And then we got Doodleburger. So,
But it's true. It's interesting because this book is aimed for like what, age 11 maximum. It's like, and
yeah.
I'd say like 8.
yeah, and it's.
But I was gonna say, I was trying to do the math that those are the voters that are here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this book came out when we were 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, even the idea of having to pay for like an ambulance to take you somewhere, I wouldn't have even known that was a thing. I like at that age, especially. But I would say even up to like age 27, because you're on your assuming that you have any kind of privilege, which is to say that your parents are employed or whatever. You can stay on your parents' health insurance until you're 27 now. It's really something I didn't think of until I was 27 almost. Like, because it doesn't, you don't really, you just sort of have to be. And, largely your parents kind of take care of that for you. So I mean, of course, that's not a sweeping statement because everybody's situation is different. And that does, I'm speaking from a place
that's
of
something
privilege.
That's something that could bankrupt people, is an ambulance ride to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, because in the past couple of years, especially, you've heard about people taking Ubers to the hospital because, like, it's kind of dangerous and maybe they're, like, bleeding out in the back of an Uber. But at the end of it, they're going to owe $20 instead of, like, $5,000.
Yeah. There was I was in the hospital briefly for, like, 4 or 5 days, and
Breast implants.
for my glute implants.
Oh, they look fantastic. Matt's got some rockin' titties.
Thank you.
Attic, you know what I mean?
I see.
That's right.
8008. And I had a hospital take me from the hospital to the imaging center, which was like across the street. It was like down the road. And when the check finally came, the bill for that short hospital ride, which was their recommendation, it was they mandated it. They said, we have to take you in the ambulance. It was $3,000 to go from point A to point B.
What?
Just to get in the
Dude, I
ambulance.
would have told them
Ridiculous.
Yeah, put me in the hospital bed and just push
Yeah. Well,
down the
that was the
street.
thing. I was like, well, we'll drive. It's fine. Like somebody would drive. My parents would have driven me, you know. But so I guess my tangent before I was aware of it before age 27. But just what I'm saying is to have this content in this book for children is startling.
Yeah.
And that's
2 stars.
I think that's I think that's a good thing. I think it's kind of like a good thing to, make. We think kids aren't ready to deal with this kind of shit, and I think this is the most adult you'd want to go with it. But I think it's good that kids are made aware of like the harsh realities of life in a way that doesn't frighten them, but maybe makes them think about things they wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, just sprinkle it in there.
And
Maybe
when you
they'll
get
notice it.
hurt,
Yeah.
suck it up, kids. You don't have to
Yeah.
go to the hospital over everything. You can get stitches at home.
That's right.
It's like when we read that part when we in Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots, where Howie has that debate with Mrs. Jeepers about collective bargaining and the place of unions in America in modern times.
And then he does a big fart. So what I thought was good is something that brings it back to one of our buddies' podcast, Carl, Every F&F.
Who?
You never heard of him, but he has this thing they talk about where on Twitter somebody said that, I think maybe it was Biden, that he's old. And instead of saying that he's ready for death, he is ready for the urn, is a term that they use a lot.
That's grim.
Because it's hilarious. They were like, he's ready for the urn. So they use that a lot. And I liked this version of it in Debbie Daddy's words, which is talking about the house that said, it's definitely ready for the wrecking ball.
Oh, yeah, I did notice that.
That was on page 3. I liked the stank that Matt talked about. I also liked that I think, Ed, you talked about it, where it says, you have to be dead to be a ghost, and Great Aunt Matilda is too mean to die.
Yeah, Matt said that.
And I love at the end where they're like, I think she's seriously hurt. We should call an ambulance. And Eddie just says, she hasn't felt well since 1942.
Oh, yeah,
They're like, she doesn't look well. Yeah. Okay, what about bad stuff?
Oh my God. We could just skip over me because I didn't even write anything. The whole book.
I liked this because I wasn't sure if it could have been mean and a kid joke, or it could have been... Okay, let me say the sentence, and you tell me which one you think Eddie said about his great aunt. I'd like to feed her a thing or two, and it's not supper.
Yeah.
Or was it said, I'd like to feed her a thing or two, and it's not supper.
I did.
See, here's the problem.
Yeah.
No matter the inflection, it's
Yeah.
still the same message.
It is. Yeah.
He wants to jam his prepubescent wiener in her mouth and say, gotcha. This tastes like little boy wiener.
It's just.
I'm going to do
gotcha.
to your mouth what I do to the couch when Mama's at her AA meetings.
I also hated when they spelled attic, they're like, what does this mean? And they were like, either Aunt Matilda has smart ants in her yard or it's a ghost.
Ugh.
The whole thing about the ghost is there's not a lot of it.
No.
And this is coming off a book where they had a showdown with a vampire with hypnotic powers. And, we know just from being gigantic fans of the series, and we've all read all the books multiple times, that, there's, Frankenstein and Hercules and, zombies and all this, weird shit. And this one,
Genies.
it's just kind of well, I don't know. It's sort of, boring. It's there's a ghost, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes.
Maybe
Might be a
there's not.
shadow.
Oh, no, yeah, and then at the end of it, oh, no, there totally was a ghost. But, it's cool, because, there's
Yeah, it's a
money.
rich ghost.
And also, Eddie wanted to pocket all of the money.
Yes, he did. We didn't even talk about that. He was like,
he was
we're
not
rich.
even a little ashamed about that. He's like, yo, this is ours. We didn't find shit.
And it's funny because it literally goes from wow, your great aunt sure is going to die because she doesn't have enough money. And he's like, sweet, all of her money. We tell no one. And they're like, shouldn't you possibly save this woman's life? Because even as a child, you have the capabilities to do so. And
Yeah.
he's just like, well, there's Super Nintendo now. And they're like, your aunt's dying. And he's like, Super Nintendo. All right, so let's do that ending that we do for every single one. So, top spook and scare, best dressed, and alternate title.
All right, so spook and scare. We already kind of covered mine. It's on page 55. Just because it is real life scary. I'll go ahead and read it again, though. As he climbs into the ambulance, the medic glanced at Eddie. Your aunt will be fine, but she better be able to find a way to pay. Hospitals aren't cheap, you know. Eddie looked him in the eye. Don't worry, she'll pay. Lightning cracked the sky and thunder rumbled in the distance as the ambulance sped away. It's like, that's scary on a lot of levels. Like, shit.
That was mine, too.
I would say that, and also when all the kids touch those burgers.
Yeah, that's
in this
really
climate,
scary.
come on.
Yeah.
And they're kids, you know they don't wipe properly.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Get your poo paws off my goddamn doodle burger. Best dressed.
I gotta go with my my man Jasper, looking like a real road to perdish, looking like a Jude Law, like a Tom Hanks, top hat, Jason Mraz,
Tommy Hanks.
My Animal Crossing town is named Tom Hanks. That's my
I
island.
hope you quarantine
It's named
it.
after Castaway.
I'm thinking about buying Animal Crossing.
Oh, it's so good.
It just looks so fun.
All of our friends, when we go to each other's towns, we all wear surgical masks for social distancing.
Okay, so my best...
You go.
Okay,
you got
no,
this.
yeah,
no,
you go.
you go. You got this.
Fine. Okay, so on page 65, when we see Aunt Matilda back from the hospital, and she's wearing jeans and a t-shirt and, you know, some fucking branding. She's got the Bailey Elementary baseball cap on. You know, she is looking
She's looking
fine.
She's looking good.
She's looking like she's got a lot of unpaid parking tickets because she is fine.
Oh, yeah, I love it. And she's got 2 chains. Also, look, she cuffed her pants. She's looking like a youngin'. She's good.
Sweet.
Hat up, ponytail, something to grab onto. She got a little Benjamin Franklin glasses. Loving it. Loving it. Keds on her feet. Fucking great. Fucking great.
All right. Alternate title time?
Did we do this? Well, I forgot, even though it's been a week, because I don't know. I had a head injury. Do we they have to go don't?
We don't.
Like ghost.
You don't have to follow a format.
Okay, because I didn't write one down.
Me neither.
So I'm trying to come up with
kind
one
of going
now.
off the cuff here.
Okay.
I would call mine Eddie Doesn't Deserve Happiness.
That one's good. I got one. Great aunt funerals don't get you off of school.
Perfect.
And mine is capitalists don't want you to live.
Perfect. Oh,
All
wait, we
right.
have a bonus round this week. It's witches.
Oh, well, that's right.
Find
that's
the
right.
witch.
Where's the witch? Where is the witch?
Where's the
Okay.
witch?
Okay. Shit.
Forgot about that.
Come on.
Where's the witch?
Well, I think it's a warlock. To be honest, I think it's Jaspy hiding out in the attic with a rich hat.
I think there was a witch who put a curse on me that made me a witch as punishment for all my
It's
misdeeds.
Debbie Daddy.
I think Matilda's the witch because it's the 90s and everyone named Matilda in the 90s was a witch.
That's right. That's true.
There's the
Well,
witch.
it was only the other one, Matilda.
This is
this
Mara
one.
Wilson is the witch.
Yeah, but also there was the book it was based on.
Oh, that's true.
Fair.
I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't mean to contradict you.
Don't you ever fucking test me.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, Daddy. And we love you, Daddies. Thank you for sitting through another episode. Actually, what is it? 100 of Bailey School Dropouts.
And we've got plenty more to go from here. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot about this. I wrote a note while reading this. After the book ended, I have read books worse than this, but not many. Just wanted to share that last little tidbit with you guys.
On that note, Ed, even though you are our principal and you're on every week, is there anything you'd like to plug or shill for at this time?
Me and some other friends of mine have this podcast called Age of Enfrightenment that we haven't touched in like a fucking year. We've been very busy. Actually, I think I might... Again, some behind the scenes info for you guys. We have 2 episodes in the can that we're sitting on. We want to do a third. I think that since I have my podcasting stuff out right now, I might record like a solo one that I've been thinking about. But if you go to aoepod.com or look us up on iTunes, you can see all our past episodes and, shoot us an email or like write us a review and like maybe we'll get off our asses and do it. And also I would just like to mention King of Queens is on CW every weeknight at 6, and it's if you want to stop in with your friends Kevin James and the other guy and the Scientologist lady, they're there for you on the CW.
That's the best plug we've heard. Thank you.
And if you want to see us, of course you can go to Matt, we've been hacked.
We have. Is it
yeah.
Say
Banksy?
what?
Our well, I don't know. It's probably some sort of Banksy or Joker joke, because our name isn't Bailey School Kids. It's Calling All Creeps Pod on
What
Instagram.
on
We'll have to
earth?
change that.
That must be a Snowden situation.
But if you want, you can find all of our brands of products in different places at harrystyles.net. We haven't put that
No,
up.
harrystyles.org.
And I'm still paying for it. So it's it's .org.
We're an organization.
harrystyles.org, and it plugs to all of our things.
Well, that's good, because Calling All Creeps sounds like a podcast that would only be listened to by drug users and chronic masturbators.
It sounds like a podcast that would be made by drug users and chronic masturbators.
All of the above.
All right, well, pencils down. Class is out of session.
And just like we always say, the school is for dumping and pumping, and I don't have to go number 2 right now. You know what that means.
Get fingered under the bleachers.
Yeah,
Be cool and go to school and listen to Tool and Home Improvement starring Tim Allen.
perfect. Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.